I never thought I'd be the guy to catch his wife cheating, especially not in a way that feels like some bad spy novel. But here I am, trying to make sense of it all, and honestly, I still can't believe I missed the signs for so long. Her name's Lisa, and I've been with her for about 8 years now. We got married 5, and she's always been the kind of woman who could be bitchy. But I figured that was just her personality, sharp, sarcastic, always quick with a biting comment. Still, I trusted her, or at least I thought I did. We'd been going through a rough patch lately. I travel a lot for work, but I always try to keep things stable when I was home. I work as a security consultant, nothing glamorous, but I deal with some pretty sensitive stuff. Recently, I'd been protecting a guy named Robert, a biochemical weapons expert who was in witness protection. It was high stakes, dangerous even, but I took pride in keeping him safe. That's what I did, kept secrets, guarded the vulnerable, and made sure nothing bad happened to him. Lisa, on the other hand, had been acting weird for a while. She'd get defensive if I asked where she was, or she'd have these odd texts at odd hours that she'd quickly hide when I came into the room. She'd brush it off with her usual bitchy attitude, saying I was paranoid or that she was just talking to a friend or that I was overreacting. But I noticed her coming home late more often, smelling like some different perfume, and her phone seemed glued to her hand when she thought I wasn't looking. Still, I kept telling myself she was just busy or stressed out, especially with me gone so much. One particular night, I was doing some late-night work in the study, reviewing some security logs and protocols for the next day's operation. I'd gotten used to checking the house's security system remotely because I had to make sure everything was tight, especially since I had kept a close eye on Lisa's activities for a while now. That's when I noticed something strange. The security logs for the safe house where Robert was staying suddenly showed a gap in activity during a window between 2 and 3 a.m. It was odd because I knew the protocols, and I hadn't authorized any disablement during those hours. The security was supposed to be tight. I double-checked the settings, the access logs. Everything seemed normal, but the data was missing. My stomach sank. I suddenly remembered the times Lisa had been cold or distant, the late nights she'd claimed were work emergencies, the way she'd get defensive when I asked about her whereabouts. I started digging through the logs more carefully, and that's when I saw it. Someone or some people had disabled the security system during that exact window, just enough time for who knows what to happen. I felt cold, sick. That was no coincidence. Someone had deliberately turned it off, and I had a sinking feeling I knew who it was. My mind raced. The only people who knew enough to do that were me, the security team, or Lisa. She was the only one with access to the house. I'd always suspected she knew more than she let on, but this was a whole new level. I stayed up all night, my mind spinning, trying to piece together what it all meant. By the time morning came, I was certain. Lisa had been sneaking around, probably with someone from her circle, or worse, with someone related to that biochemical guy I'd been protecting. It was a personal betrayal that cut deep. I'd trusted her with my life, and now I found out she'd been lying to me all along. And that was just the beginning. The real shock came when I confronted her later that day. I never imagined the things she'd say or do. I thought I knew her, thought she was just a bitchy, sarcastic wife with a sharp tongue. But now I realized she was capable of far more than I ever gave her credit for. I called her into the living room that afternoon, trying to keep my voice steady, but inside, I felt like I was about to lose it. The evidence was staring me in the face, and I needed answers, real answers, not her usual bullshit excuses. She sauntered in, wearing that same smirk she always had when she thought she was in control, her eyes narrowing slightly as she saw the serious look on my face. So I started, trying to sound calm but failing miserably. Care to explain why the security logs show someone disabled the system during the time I was reviewing them last night, because I know it wasn't me and I have a pretty good idea who else had access. I watched her for any sign of guilt or panic, but her expression just hardened. "Oh, come on, Nathan," she snapped back. "You're just paranoid. Maybe someone hacked into your stupid security system. Maybe it's some kind of glitch. You always jump to crazy conclusions. Honestly, I don't have time for your conspiracy theories." I clenched my fists. I've been hearing her deny things for years, her constant lies, her dismissive tone, the way she minimized everything I told her. But this was different, this was deliberate. I had the hard proof right in front of me and she was still playing the victim, still spinning her web of lies. "Don't give me that," I said, voice low but firm. "You're hiding something. I saw the logs. I know you've been sneaking around, Lisa, with whoever it was that got access. You've been lying to me, lying about your late nights, who you're talking to. I want the truth now." She rolled her eyes and scoffed. "Oh, so now I'm the liar? You think I'd cheat on you? Please. You're so insecure, Nathan. Maybe I just needed some attention, a little excitement. Our marriage has been dead for a while, you know that. And you're always busy with your stupid security stuff. Don't pretend like this is shocking." I felt a surge of rage. The way she dismissed it all as if I was just some paranoid idiot made my blood boil, but I kept my composure. "You're not fooling me anymore. I saw the messages on your phone, texts with someone named Derek, and I saw the hotel receipts from last week. Tell me what the hell is going on, Lisa." She crossed her arms, her bitchy smile returning. "Fine, you want the truth. Yeah, I cheated. So what? It was just sex, Nathan. It doesn't mean anything. I was bored, stressed out, and I needed a release. Derek's just some guy I met at work. And honestly, I don't owe you an explanation. I'm done pretending everything's perfect." That hit me like a punch to the gut. I thought I'd prepared myself for some kind of betrayal, but hearing her admit it so casually made my stomach churn. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest, like everything I believed in was collapsing right there. I stared at her, speechless for a moment, then just felt this flood of rage and sadness wash over me. How had I missed all the signs? How did I get so blind? But deep down, I knew this wasn't just about the affair. It was about her lying, her manipulation, the way she'd turned our marriage into some game she played behind my back. I started questioning everything, her motives, her lies, whether I ever really knew her at all. And even though part of me wanted to break down and cry, I knew I had to be strong. I had to figure out what to do next because this was a betrayal I wasn't sure I could forgive. After she admitted it, Lisa just sat there, smirking like she thought she'd won some kind of game. She looked so damn smug, like I was supposed to just accept her little confession and move on. But I didn't feel like it was over, not even close. Inside, I was a mess. My head was spinning and I couldn't breathe right. I trusted her for so long, and now I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I needed a moment to gather myself, to think about what I was going to do. My hands were shaking, my mind racing through every memory, every moment I had shared with her, now tainted by this betrayal. I looked at her and realized how cold and bitchy she'd become over the years, how she'd always had a sharp tongue, always throwing barbs when things got tough. But I'd never seen her so completely dismissive of me, so unapologetically selfish. I finally found my voice, though it was rough and tight. "You really think this is just a little fling, huh? You think it doesn't mean anything? You cheated on me, Lisa. You lied to me about everything. Who is he, Derek? What does he do? Is he some kind of biochemical weapons guy too? Or was it just some random guy from work that you decided to screw?" She rolled her eyes again, scoffing. "You really don't get it, do you? I'm tired of your questions, Nathan. Honestly, I don't owe you anything anymore. I don't love you, never really did. This marriage has been a joke for years. Derek's just a guy I met at work. He's interesting. He's got a brain unlike you. And yeah, we've been seeing each other, so what? It's just sex. Big deal." Her words cut deep. I felt like someone had thrown acid in my face. The way she dismissed it all like it was nothing, just a hobby, made me see how truly selfish she was. I had always tried to be the good guy, the one who kept everything together while she tore at it from the inside. And now I saw her for what she really was, a bitchy, manipulative woman who had no regard for the vows we took or the life we built. But even through that anger, a part of me was shattered. I'd spent years defending her, making excuses for her attitude, telling myself she was just stressed or tired. And now I realized I'd been blind. She'd been cheating on me for who knows how long, and I'd been completely oblivious. The worst part, I still loved her, or at least I thought I did. It was so confusing, this mixture of rage, sadness, and helplessness that was tearing me apart inside. I told her I needed a bit of space, that I wasn't going to make any rash decisions right now. She sneered, probably thinking she'd won, that I'd just accept her words and move on. But I knew this was only the beginning. The betrayal ran too deep, and I had to figure out what was next. I couldn't stay with her after this. Not after she'd lied, cheated, and dismissed everything we had like it was nothing. I went to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of whiskey, and sat down alone. The weight of what I just heard settled on me hard. I felt sick, furious, and utterly lost all at once. I had no idea how I was going to get through this. The woman I'd loved, or thought I loved, had betrayed me so thoroughly that I wondered if I even knew who she was anymore. I kept asking myself, how did I miss all the signs? How did I not see it coming? And what the hell do I do now? That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling back to everything. Her words, her sneers, the way she lied so effortlessly, like I was just some idiot who wouldn't notice. I kept replaying her confession over and over, trying to find some reason, some justification for what she did. But all I could feel was this gnawing emptiness, like I'd lost a part of myself I'd never get back. I kept asking myself, was I blind? Did I ignore the signs because I didn't want to believe the worst? The late nights, her dismissiveness, the secretive texts, how could I have missed all of it? My trust, which I'd thought was rock solid, had turned out to be paper thin. She'd been lying right to my face, and I hadn't even known it. The betrayal wasn't just about her cheating, it was about her deception. She'd spun her web so well I'd been caught in it without even realizing. I also kept thinking about the bigger picture. The work I did, guarding secrets, protecting people from threats, felt meaningless now. How could I protect anyone when I couldn't even protect myself from my own wife? I'd always believed in loyalty, in honesty, in standing by someone through thick and thin. And yet, here I was, dumped in this pit of confusion, betrayal, and heartbreak. Earlier that day, I had also remembered something strange about the security logs. That gap in the system, that deliberate disablement, what if it wasn't just about some affair? What if there was something more? I knew Lisa had a bitchy side, but I had never thought she was capable of actively endangering someone. And that's when it hit me. The biochemical guy I was protecting, Robert, was in serious danger now. The logs showed that during that same window, she had been near the house, acting suspiciously. Had she been working with someone? Had she been trying to get to Robert? I'd protected him with my life, and now I started to wonder if that was all a setup. I didn't sleep that night, but I did some digging. I found her phone hidden in the laundry room, her texts with Derek still on the screen. But there was more. The security footage from last week, showing her meeting with a strange man in a parking lot, a guy who looked a lot like the biochemical expert I was protecting. My stomach twisted. Was she trying to get to him? Was she working with someone dangerous? That thought made my blood run cold. The next morning I knew I had to act. I couldn't let her continue to play her game, to keep lying and sneaking around. I decided I'd confront her again, this time with everything I'd uncovered. I needed answers, no matter how much it was going to hurt. I packed a bag, grabbed my phone, and prepared myself for what was coming. I knew this was just the beginning of a long, brutal road. I'd trusted her for so long, and now I was faced with the bitter reality that I might never trust her again. But I also knew I couldn't stay blind to the truth anymore. I looked at her sleeping that morning, her face peaceful, unaware of how much her world was about to change. And I wondered how I'd ever look at her the same way again. Because everything I'd believed in, my marriage, my loyalty, my sense of right and wrong, was shattered in that instant. And deep inside, I knew I had to find a way to make her pay for what she'd done. Not just for cheating, but for betraying everything we once stood for, everything I thought we were. I didn't wait long after that. As soon as she left the room to grab her coffee, I went straight to her phone, fingers trembling, heart pounding. It was always so easy to trust her, to believe she'd just lie about everything. But not anymore. I unlocked it, pulled up her messages, and scrolled through everything she'd hidden. The texts with Derek, the hotel receipts, the days she'd met that strange guy, everything confirmed my worst fears. She wasn't just cheating on me. She was involved in something dangerous, maybe even linked to the biochemical threats I'd been protecting Robert from. The more I looked, the more I saw the pattern. The late-night meetups, the secret calls, the way she dodged my questions, everything pointed to a conspiracy far bigger than I'd imagined. I found a text from her telling Derek how they needed to move faster, and then there was a message from her calling Robert the target, a clear indication that she knew exactly who I was protecting and had been intentionally trying to get to him. My stomach twisted in knots. I started piecing it all together. Lisa, my wife, was involved in something illegal, something dangerous. She was acting with someone, maybe more than one person, and I was completely blind to it. I felt my anger rising, but beneath that, pure dread. If she was working with people who wanted Robert dead or silenced, I was in a much bigger mess than I realized. I had to do something. I couldn't just confront her now. She'd lie again, deny everything, spin her web tighter. So I decided to follow her. I grabbed my keys, slipped out of the house quietly, and tailing her was the only way I could get a clear picture of what she was up to. I followed her to a nondescript building downtown, one I'd never seen her go near before, and watched her meet with a man who looked familiar. That same biochemical expert she'd been cheating on me with. When I saw her hand him an envelope, I knew this was no longer just about infidelity. This was some kind of covert operation, and she had her fingers deep in it. My mind raced. What was her real motive? Was she trying to sell secrets? Or was she trying to get Robert out of the way? Either way, I was certain now that I was in way over my head. My wife was involved in something that could threaten national security, and I was just some guy trying to hold his marriage together. I stayed in my car, watching as they exchanged words and the envelope. My stomach was in knots. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about life and death. I knew I had to act fast, but I also knew that confronting her directly without more evidence would do more harm than good. I needed a plan, something precise, something that would expose everything without tipping her off. By the time I got back home, I was exhausted, but I had a new resolve. I couldn't let her get away with this. I'd protect Robert, sure, but I'd also make her pay for her lies, her betrayal, her participation in something so dangerous. She thought she had control, that she could cheat and lie her way out of it. But I was done playing nice. Everything was about to change. And I wasn't going to stop until I got to the bottom of this, whether she liked it or not. That night I sat in my car outside that nondescript building, heart pounding, trying to piece together everything I'd uncovered. All the lies, the secret meetings, the hidden motives. It was like I had stumbled into some dangerous spy movie, only I was the unwitting star and my wife was the villain. I knew I couldn't keep quiet anymore. I had to do something fast. I couldn't risk her or whoever she was working with getting Robert killed or worse. I spent hours formulating my plan, knowing that whatever I did, I had to be careful. Confronting her outright would only make her cover her tracks better. No, I needed evidence, something concrete, and I needed backup. I reached out to an old friend, someone I trusted who knew a thing or two about covert operations. I told him everything I had seen, everything I suspected, and he agreed to help me gather proof. We set up a plan to intercept her next move, to corner her with undeniable evidence. Over the next few days, I kept my distance, watching her every move, collecting everything I could. It was sickening seeing her so cold, so manipulative. She was still pretending everything was fine, throwing her bitchy comments my way as if I was the crazy one. But I didn't care. I was ready to expose her, no matter what the cost. Finally, the day came. She had arranged to meet her contact again, perhaps to finalize whatever scheme she was involved in. I was waiting nearby, my phone recording, my heart in my throat. When she arrived, I stepped out of the shadows with my proof, screenshots of her messages, the envelopes, the security footage, everything. Her face twisted into rage, then disbelief, then outright fury. "You think you can catch me?" she spat. "You think I'm just some stupid wife you can manipulate? I've been playing you from the start, Nathan. This is bigger than you think. You don't understand what's really going on." But I didn't care about her lies anymore. I'd seen enough. I told her she was done, her lies, her manipulation, everything. That I was handing her over to authorities, that her involvement in whatever this was, biochemical threats, secret meetings, was over. I knew I couldn't trust her, not anymore. She had crossed too many lines. She tried to deny everything, but the evidence was irrefutable. Her face went pale, then flushed with rage as she realized she'd lost control. She yelled, told me I was crazy, that I was overreacting, but I didn't care. I knew the truth now, and I was going to make sure she paid. The authorities arrived shortly after, and I handed over everything I had collected. She was arrested on suspicion of conspiracy, espionage, and betrayal. In the days that followed, I felt a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. Part of me was glad I'd finally uncovered the truth, that I'd managed to protect Robert and stop whatever threat she'd been involved in. But another part of me was broken, wounded by her lies, her betrayal, and the realization that I'd loved a woman capable of such deception. I moved out, started therapy, and slowly rebuilt my life. Now I look back and realize how naive I was to trust so blindly, how I ignored the signs because I wanted to believe in the best of her. But I've learned something valuable. Trust is fragile and betrayal cuts deep. If there's any advice I can pass on, it's this: pay attention to the red flags. Don't dismiss them, even if it hurts. Because sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who can hurt you the most. And when that happens, you have to have the courage to face the truth, no matter how ugly it is.